Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Just letting everybody get logged on. We're still a little bit early, but I figured I'd hop on here, answer any questions people might have, and so forth. Today, we're going to be going over the new laws that affect property management and better ways to combat them. So bear with me. We'll go over the laws. Make sure you have a pen and paper handy if it's something you're going to ask me about later. I do really well if you jot down the Assembly bill or the Senate bill. So if you say, hey, Patty, I had a question about this one. My question is this. I'm going to say, which bill is that? So just jot that down. I have someone having a problem. So let's send her a link. Send a message. Arlene. Let's get her in here. We're sending messages out. We got Julia. Hey, Julia, how are you? When you can hear me, let me know. I still have your bag. I need to get it to you.
I'm good, Patty. No worries about the bag whenever. We're all busy right now.
It's sitting by the door so that if I'm going down the hill to Rancho, I could just drive by and drop it off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. Whenever,
And
honestly.
it's so funny because I usually have so much plans over the holiday, and it's like I'm never going that way. I'm going the other way. So I'm like, I'll get there. I promise. Either that or it's coming to you in the mail, but it is coming. I'm assuming you're keeping it for yourself. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. I just wanted to make sure you weren't trying to give it as a gift to someone. You know what I mean?
No.
I'd be like, oh, hurry up. I'll drive it
So
down
no
today.
rush. You're all
Going
good. Do
over
you need
that.
me to meet you
If
somewhere?
you
I can meet you wherever.
Hey, I will bring it down. Let's shoot for the end of this week, okay? Like I'm thinking I'll come down Thursday or something on along those lines. That's tomorrow, I know. I accidentally pushed a button. Thank you, Belsie. I appreciate you. Did I push something that muted you, Julia? No, you did that on your own. Okay, I didn't do that, right? Okay.
No, I muted myself, but I'm in an area that sometimes loses reception. So it gets a little choppy. So I'm trying to like
Hey,
move and
it's all good. So today's gonna be a little bit different because Blondie over here, I'm me, okay, human error, forgot to charge her tablet. So I have a dead device. It is dead. It is useless. Okay. So I'm going to be using my actual phone to go on and go over the new laws with you guys. So bear with me. I know it's not the most ideal scenario, but if you have questions, you're going to have to ask them. You're going to have to unmute yourself because I'm not looking at what's being typed in the chat. Okay. So just so everybody understands, remember one thing, Patty is not able to look at what you're typing in the chat right now. Okay. Due to my own problem. Arlene, I saw you. Where'd you go? Now she's coming back. So I'm going to get started on the new laws, but I kind of wanted to wait a little bit, make sure everybody got in here, everybody's square. That way, we can get everybody logged on first. So does anybody have any questions I can answer before we get into the new laws? That way we're getting plenty of time for people to get logged on, and then I'll start in the new laws. Because once I start on the new laws, I'm not going to be able to see what people are typing here. So if anybody has a question, something crazy that's going on, I know last week we talked about that fair housing course. I got to tell you guys something. If you guys were in on that, I know you guys are following what's going on with that fair housing issue. Check this out. So we sent that response letter, okay? Within 2 days, we got asked if we were sure that we didn't want to participate with mediation and pay them that $10,000. We also were told that that price is now negotiable. It's not set in stone. Crazy, right? And just totally, totally bizarre. So give me just 1 second. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm letting everybody get logged on here. I got the us important folks, okay? Anybody have any questions, anything that they want to talk about before I dive into the new laws? And I'm just trying to buy us a little buffer time in the beginning in case somebody's running late and they really need to log on. I know people have concerns about these laws, so nothing. I got nothing. That's awesome.
Oh, sorry, Patty. I do have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
If I have a tenant who pays for the utilities and we use the utilities because we're doing an ADU in the back, obviously I'm going to prorate and pay for the portion that we used. I know previously we've spoken about like dividing it up per day and then I can pay, per day. I just thought it was more fair for the tenant if I just pay like whatever's the excess. Because if they use a lot on one particular day, like let's say the electricity or the water, I just didn't want to divide it up based per day because like let's say they used a lot in one particular day. So is that okay to do it? Like if I take, for instance, if they pay $100 for their electricity bill and it was 200, then I'll pay the 100. Is that okay? Or is there a particular thing that I have to do for that?
It's a mutual agreement between two parties. In other words, it's whatever you and your tenant mutually agree on. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
But let me say this. The nicer they are in accommodating you and the easier they are to work with throughout the process, I encourage you to reward them for their good behavior. Make sense?
Yeah. So
So
gotcha.
in the event you're building this ADU, you're using their utilities, they're allowing you to use your utilities. At some point or another, there is going to be a snafu. I'm not trying to freak you out. I'm just explaining life. Okay. Where their electric gets knocked out for the weekend or something weird happens. I'm not trying to put bad juju on you. I'm trying to prepare you for reality. Okay. At some point during this build, something is going to go wrong. It will affect the tenant. Try to be very, very calm and nice about it in the very beginning. Be very forthcoming. If it deserves a rent credit, give it a rent credit at hello. At the end of all of this, make sure you do something really nice for the tenant as long as they didn't cause you a whole bunch of headaches, problems, issues, arguments. In other words, reward them for their good behavior because then you're training them on what you expect going forward.
Got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right, you guys, I am going to jump into the new laws, which means I'm not going to be able to see what you're typing to me. So if you have questions, you're going to have to unmute yourself, okay? Because as of right this second, I can't see ya. All right, we're going to jump into these laws. I can hear you guys though. So if you need something, let me know. And if you can see me looking into my phone ridiculously, I apologize. Here we go. These are new legislative update and laws for 2025. We need to make sure we're rocking and rolling here, folks, because a lot of these have dates on them. And remember, if you want to ask me a question about this later down the road, you're going to have to say, this is this Senate bill regarding this. Okay, so here we go. The first one is AB 2493. It's application screening fees. And I'm going to give you the long and the short of it very simply. Okay, we're going to do it Widget's way. All right. What this says is, remember how fair housing would say that we have to take applicants in a first come, first serve basis. And that was their guideline. But that wasn't the law. The law said we could collect all applications, pick the most qualified, and go with that applicant. They've changed that. Now the first come, first serve has become the law. Why am I telling you to do it that way and not the other way and go with first come, first serve? I'll explain. First come, first serve is the very best way that we can keep you out of a discrimination lawsuit. When you start comparing people is when you open yourself up to discriminatory practices and discriminatory lawsuits. It is a bitter business practice for you to just take them first come, first serve. Okay. What the law says now is if you don't take them first come, first serve, and you compare them, that you can no longer charge them a screening fee. And everybody gets a copy of their credit report within 7 days of them being approved or denied. Everybody. You got that? Everybody going forward gets a copy of their credit report if they're approved or denied within 7 days of them being approved or denied. Keep that in mind. We got to rock and roll with it. I'm going to move to the next law unless anybody has any questions. And what I'm trying to do for you guys is keep it as simple as I can, because I can read the whole law to you. I can read the gist of it, but I want to keep it as simple as I can for you guys. Okay. So if I need to go into more detail, somebody just yell, Patty, go into more detail on that one. Okay. I'm moving along to the next one. This is in regards to security deposits. This has to do, and this is AB 2801. Okay. This has to do specifically with how you charge a tenant when they move out, when they're gone. This has to do with how much and how you're going to be able to charge them on their security deposit charges. Okay, you with me? So what this new law says, as simply as I can explain it in Widget's little world, is if you don't have move-in photos, move-out photos of the damage, and then photos after the damages are repaired, you're not going to be able to deduct it from the security deposit. Wait a minute, Patty, what photos do we need? We need inception photos, when they moved in, what it looked like, when they moved out and the damage that was there, and then after the repair was completed. We need 3 sets of photos, move in, move out with the damage, and then after the damage was corrected, the repair photo, okay? You're gonna have to have those 3 sets of photos. Patty, what if I don't? My tenant's been there 10 years and I don't have that. Then you can't charge them. I'm gonna make it real simple for you, okay? You can't charge them. Got it? If you don't have move in, move out, meaning of the damage, and then the repair completed, you can't charge them. Everybody understand that? For those of you that manage property for profit, meaning my property management companies, please pay attention. Where this is going to be a problem for you is when you take over a property and you're the new property manager. You need to make sure there's move-in photos. If there's no move-in photos, you're not going to be able to charge them at move out. Got it? This is now the law. Okay,
I see a problem, Patty.
Okay.
I see a problem.
Come
Look,
on.
let's suppose a tenant moved out and left a lot of massive damage to the building. Now you have 21 days to fix it, take pictures that's been repaired, and then you can go ahead and charge them. Doesn't make sense. What if I cannot do everything 21 days? It may take even 6 months to fix what he's done.
Hold on. Deep breath, okay? David, what you're talking about is an estimated disposition of security deposit versus a final disposition of security deposit. You still have the capability to do that. So if you don't have all the repairs done within 21 days as required by law, you would then send out an estimated disposition of security deposit by that 21st day, giving them an estimate of all those repairs. And then what the law says is you have 14 days from the day that you receive the final invoice to send them their final disposition of security deposit. If that final invoice comes 6 months down the road, then it's going to be 6 months and 14 days when you do the final. Understand? It doesn't have anything to do with the photos. All I'm telling you is if you don't have move-in photos, move-out photos, and then photos after the repair is done, you're not going to be able to deduct it from the security deposit.
Patty, can you just clarify something?
Yes, Arlene, go ahead.
For the move-in photos, that's prior to them moving their furniture in and everything, right? That's an empty unit.
Correct.
Okay.
Patty,
Yes.
What if I had a situation where I walked in and the sink cabinet, it was all wet, and of course it was damaged, it was dripping, but to them there were no problems. So if I have those pictures, I can charge them.
Yes, absolutely. If you have damage that happened during the tenancy, that's something you can charge for. But you're going to have to take photos of the damages and then photos when it's repaired. Make sense?
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Patty, two questions for you, or two kind of two
I
examples.
got you. I got you. Come on, baby.
What if
Pick my
I'm trying to give you a hard one. What if it's something that is not visible? So smoke. They smoked. You said no, you can't smoke. Now they're moving out, and now it reeks of smoke. Obviously, you can't take a picture of how it smells. Then what?
Try not to laugh too hard with Patty, okay? But this is my Cheshire cat smile. That's when you take the AC filter, put it in a trash bag, duct tape it closed, and write date, time, where it came from, etc. And you'd be more than happy to open that in the courtroom for the judge if they'd like to smell it. I've done it before. I've done it with, and I don't mean to be graphic, okay? I've done it with, let me choose my words carefully so it's not so graphic, okay? Hang on. This is Patty putting a filter on. Pet urine, okay? I've had pet urine stains on carpeting so bad that I've cut a square of carpet and a square of padding and put them in Ziploc bags. Actually had to double and triple Ziploc them because the smell emanated from the Ziploc. But I kept it in a drawer in my office waiting for that lawsuit to come about. And son of a gun, if I didn't have it and pull it out in court and tell the judge that they're more than welcome to open that, but I didn't advise it. Okay, so there has been times where I have actually, and you're right, you can't see smoke damage. You can't always see urine damage or smells or things of that nature, but you're going to have to do everything within your power to think outside of the building to cover your asset. I hope that makes sense to you. And you said you had two questions. What's the second one?
Yes, and then well, on that same thing, we did that for corporate. We had to cut out the carpet.
Right.
Just it's never gotten to this point, but just out of curiosity, what if they say that's not my carpet? What do you do then?
This is where it gets a little tricky, okay? And I'm going to be very honest with you. All of us know that you can pull back the carpet and take a picture of the backing, the padding in front of it, and the backing of the carpet showing the urine stains. Okay. One of the things that I do is show the cutout of where I cut it out. So one of the photos that I have of me standing there looking at the urine stains on the floor, it's going to be in the padding. And what I'm holding up is the strip of carpet. I know you can't see my arm because of my background. Sorry, like my Christmas tree. Sorry, squirrel. So what I show is the padding this way in the photo, me holding the carpet up this way. So this is what they see. And then you can see the square that's cut out. That is the square that's in the Ziploc bag. Okay. So it just kind of ties it all together, if that makes sense to you.
Got it. Yes. And then for my second question, I feel like I know the answer for this, but if we don't get every angle, I'm assuming then we can't charge for it. For instance, my tenant had their own water damage, but behind the toilet. Like I don't actually like squat behind the toilet and get a picture of it. I will now, but there was a bunch of
no, you won't now. Okay. And just hear me out. Just hear me out. I don't want you overthinking this. Okay. When they move in, you take a picture of the bathroom from the door of the whole bathroom, right? You may even open the cabinets and take a picture underneath the cabinets in that bathroom. That's all that's required. In the event of a flood or a problem, you're going to go back to that door and take a picture, and it's going to show all kinds of problems, right? May show ripped up drywall, ripped up flooring, may show issues. You just want to take a picture of the damage, and then once it's repaired, that's all. Don't overthink it, okay? If there's tenant caused damage during the tenancy, go there and photograph the damage. You're going to do it anyway. So just remember that you're going to potentially need this in your arsenal of weapons when it comes time to for who's responsible for the finances of it. Okay? Don't overthink it.
Got it. Thank you.
No worries. All right, are we ready? I'm going to move on to the next law. You guys, we got quite a few of them. There's about 20 of them. So hang on. And I'm interpreting them Widget's way to try to help eliminate a lot of the questions. Everybody knows, and if you didn't know, I'm going to let you know right now that the maximum security deposit for landlord is 1 month's rent going forward, unless they own no more than 2 parcels, no more than 4 doors, and that includes the house they live in. Okay, so if you have a landlord that owns a triplex and a single family residence, they're most likely exempt from the security deposit law. If they own more than that, they are subject to it. Okay. Okay, here's where this gets a little tricky. We're going to get into, and I'm skipping one of them. I'm actually skipping Senate Bill 611, and it has to do with security deposits for active duty military. And no, I'm sorry. This one has to do with a landlord charging any kind of a fee for serving a legal notice. This is very important, you guys. Senate Bill 611, okay? This prohibits a landlord from charging any kind of fee for posting or serving a legal notice of any kind, including a pay rent or quit notice, a notice to quit, a 60-day notice to terminate tenancy, a curable, an incurable, any of it. Okay, pay attention, you guys, and I'm going to talk to you out loud. You know how years ago, and some of us may still have this today, had on our notices or in our lease contracts, it said in our leases that if management or the landlord had to serve a notice for any reason, that the tenant would have to pay the sum of blank, $65 to have the notice served, $100. Some of them even said $175. What I'm telling you is passing that expense on to the tenant is now illegal. You cannot charge them for serving a notice. You understand? You cannot charge a residential tenant, and I'm going to get into this in a second, for serving a notice. Any questions on that? Speak now or forever hold your peace. In other words, it is now illegal to pass that expense onto the tenant. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, great. I'm going to take this one step further, and this is something you need to know, but doesn't totally affect us, okay? But it's nice to know. This also prohibits landlords from charging a fee to a tenant that pays with a personal check. You can't charge a fee to a tenant for paying with a personal check unless they bounce the check, okay? You have to have ways that the tenant can pay you that doesn't charge them a fee, okay? So you cannot charge a fee to a tenant for paying you with a personal check. That is also part of this law. And there's another part of it that you're really going to go, Patty, really? I'm going to read this to you because this is scary, okay? This law also extends protections to commercial tenancies when the tenant is a qualified commercial tenant. Qualified commercial tenants are defined as either a micro enterprise, which is a tenant with 5 or fewer employees. The owner generally of the business does not have access to loans or financial funding. It also includes a restaurant with fewer than 10 employees or a nonprofit with fewer than 20 employees. The tenant must provide the landlord within the previous 12 months a written notice that they are a qualified commercial tenant as defined by the state statute and the number of employees in order to take advantage of this protection. Notification by the tenant can be made in the same time the lease is signed and annually thereafter. Patty, what in the heck are you talking about? They are now offering residential protections to commercial tenants. What I want you to hear is, you know how we can't charge residential tenants for serving a notice, we can't charge commercial tenants either. They're now offering protections for commercial tenants. Okay? Okay.
Patty,
Moving-
can you still require a certified check for first with the security when they sign the lease?
Yes, but you cannot charge them $10 to process that cashier's check. That's
Okay.
what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yes, you can take it, but you can't charge them $10 to take it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Patty,
Okay.
what's the AV number on that one?
You're looking at Senate Bill 611. This is in regards to fees and security.
Okay, SB 611.
Correct.
What about for the existing leases?
What about for the existing leases?
As that we have in the addendum that we are gonna charge 75, 65 for serving a notice to cure or notice to pay. Can we charge on those?
Going forward, you're not going to charge them. Going forward, you're going to remove that language from your lease. As long as you don't enforce it, you're not breaking the law. Look, if my lease contract says, if you don't pay me the rent, I'm going to shoot you in the toe. Okay? I'm not breaking the law until I shoot them in the toe. Make sense? So just because it's written there doesn't mean you're following it. Make sense? So just don't enforce it. Don't put it in current leases. You could always do a 30-day change of terms to change it, but you can't if they're in a 1-year contract. You have to wait until the term's over. So remove the language, no longer enforce the fee. Okay? That's the easy way to handle that. All right, I'm going to move forward unless somebody yells at me. Anybody yelling? Nobody yelling. Okay, because this is a lot, you guys. There really is a lot. No joke. And some of these are going to make your head spin. Okay? Your head spin like a flippin' merry-go-round, but faster. Okay? AB 2747. Everybody got that? AB 2747. This only applies to landlords that have more than 15 units. 15 units or more. Okay? So if you have 15 units or more and owns no other residential building, you're not a REIT, you're not a corporation, you're not a housing develop, and you're not an LLC with a corporate member, this law does not apply to you. Okay? So what I just want everybody to hear is if I don't own more than 15 units, this doesn't apply to me. Okay? Because I'm trying to put this in perception for you. Ready? Existing law requires landlords of certain affordable properties to extend an offer of rental payment reporting to a credit bureau. Look, I'm going to say this to you simply. I'm not even going to go into all this, okay? Going forward, starting April 1st of 2025, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, starting January 1st, 2025 for existing leases and new leases, April 1st, 2025. Tenants are going to be able to opt in to a credit reporting thing with you if you own 15 or more units. Okay, pay attention, 15 or more. They're going to be able to pay you an additional $10 a month and have you report their positive rental payment on their credit report. They can choose to opt out. If they opt out, they opt out for 6 months. You can only report positive rental payments. So as an example, they're not going to pay you $10 to report a negative one if they're late. So this, I don't want people to panic. I don't want people to freak out about this. They're trying to do something to help tenants build their credit up based on their rental history, which is fine because we'll use that against them at a later date once they build the database. When we can see that they opted out for 6 months, that's when we'll know they face planted and didn't pay their rent, right? We're going to figure it out by process of elimination. So it isn't going to hurt us. It's going to help us. So don't panic about it. You understand? If you own 15 or more units, you're more than likely going to have to report positive credit to a credit reporting agency at your tenant's expense. It's not something you're having to pay for. You can reoccur the costs up to $10 monthly. Okay? So I'm not going to go into any more depth and breadth in regards to that unless somebody starts screaming at me. Patty, I need to know more about this.
Oh,
I
Patty.
need clarification.
So is it 15?
Hold on. Let me keep going. I'm going to read this out loud. I will put this on my website. Okay? Pay attention. Existing law requires the landlord of certain affordable properties to extend, and it doesn't acquire to affordable properties anymore. Okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Of affordable properties to extend an offer of rental payment reporting to a credit bureau to their tenants through AB 2747 extends this requirement to all landlords of dwelling units of residential properties. However, unlike Senate Bill 1157, which addresses rental reporting for affordable properties, the new AB 2747 only allows for the reporting of positive rental payment reporting. Okay, pause right there. Let me say this, folks. If we're reading a credit report 2 years from now, and it shows 6 months of positive payments of rental history, and then it doesn't show anything for 6 months, and then it shows positive history for another 12 months, what can we all assume happened in that 6-month period? Okay? Whether you like it or not, this new system is going to pave the road for you for delinquent tenants or tenants that don't pay the rent. People that are paying to have this on their credit report are people that are paying their rent on time. So the people that are not opting into this and don't want it on their credit, you put 2 and 2 together and see if that adds up to 4. Okay? Don't panic about this law. I have a feeling it's going to pave a way for us. And then they're going to go, never mind, we don't want to use it anymore. Because we're going to look at it from a different perspective. Okay, hold on. Let me keep reading. Okay, I know I said pause. This extends the requirement to all landlords of dwellings of residential properties. However, it addresses rental reporting for affordable properties. AB 2747 allows for only the reporting of positive rental payment reporting for leases that are entered into on or after April 1st, 2025. Landlords will need to provide the name of lease signing at least one annually thereafter to offer to report the positive rental payment history information at least to one of the credit bureaus. For leases that exist as of January 1, 2025, the landlord will, need to provide the notice to tenants on or before April 1st, 2025, and once annually thereafter. So, along with all of our legal jargon and disclosures, this is now going to be additional to your lease packet, and you have to do it annually. Got that? You have to do it annually. Okay? This is the first time they're holding our foot to the fire to give them a new addendum annually. Got it? Okay, hold on. I'm still reading. We're not done. We got like 3 more paragraphs on this subject matter. Hold on, I lost my place. Tenants who exert their right to withhold rent or to repair and deduct for the cost of repairs must let the landlord know in writing before the rent is due in order to avoid claims that the payment is not compliant and timely. The offer must contain all the following information. So I'm going to tell you this, but don't try to write this down, okay, you guys? Because this is the disclosure that your apartment association is going to write. It says the offer must contain the following information: the statement that the rental reporting is optional, the identification in which the credit bureau positive rental payments will be reported to, the fee incurred to have rental payments reported, if any, instructions on how to opt into the rental payment reporting, a statement on that the tenant may opt into the reporting at any time following the initial offer, a statement that the tenant may elect to stop reporting at any time, instructions on how to opt out of the reporting, signature block that the tenant must sign and date in order to opt in. Okay, new paragraph. The offer may be provided either electronically or via U.S. mail. If it is provided U.S. mail, then the offer must be accompanied by a self-addressed stamped envelope to the tenant as so they complete the election form. Landlords may recover the actual cost of reporting or $10, whichever is less. Landlords are prohibited from using rent payments to cover this fee, from deducting from the security deposit. Sorry. Deep breath, Patty. Landlords are prohibited from using the rent payments to cover this fee or from deducting from the security deposit to cover the cost of the rental payment for this reporting fee or from the proceeding with an eviction for the failure to pay the fee. The only permitted action for landlords is to terminate the reporting if the fee remains unpaid for 30 days. If the tenant opts out or fails to pay the fee, they will not be able to opt back in for 6 months. Landlords will need to comply with tenants' request to opt in or out. A landlord may be exempt or will be exempt from this if they have less than 15 units and the owner owns no other residential rental building. The owner is not a real estate investment trust, a corporation, assisted in housing development, or an LLC with corporate member. Now, with that being said, and all of that verbal vomit going on, does anybody have another question for me?
So it sounds like 2 separate buildings of 8 units still qualifies for this?
Of 8
each-
units?
Yes, each in different parts of LA.
Only if the landlord owns 15 or more units.
Patty, does the 15 or more units include their own residents?
Hold on and I'll read it again, okay? Because this is a new one for me, so we're learning together. And sometimes I got to read it more than once, okay? A landlord will be exempt from AB 2747 if the property has fewer than 15 units. So I'm going to say if you have an 8-unit complex and the owner owns no other residential rental building, they only own that 1 unit, okay? And they're not a REIT, a corporation, assisted housing development, or an LLC with a corporate member, then you're most likely going to be exempt. Make sense?
I have 3 properties, total 14 units, and then we have our own house, which is not rented, any of the rooms.
So in my professional opinion, you only have 14 units.
Yes.
Okay, let's say that again. How many units do you have?
14.
We don't count the house you live in, sweetie. That's not a unit.
Awesome, thank you.
And that's me reading how that read. And sometimes I got to read it 2 or 3 times because the law is tricky. Okay.
Hey, Patty, you said 15 units per building. What if my client?
No, I said 15 units if the property has fewer than 15 units and the owner is not an LLC. Okay, ask me your question again.
So the question is, what if my client has 3 8-plexes? 3 different properties.
They're still exempt because on that property, they don't have more than 15 doors. Let me say this a different way, and I'm trying to attract your guys' attention, okay? This is mostly going to apply to huge apartment communities. Got it? Got it? Everybody playing along? Big apartment communities. That's who this is going to apply to. 15 or more doors. And an easy way to remember how that works is if you have 16 or more doors, it requires an on-site manager by law. So hopefully those 2 so close together will help put this in perspective for all of you. They're talking about 1 property that has fewer than 15 units is exempt. More than 15 units, you're going to be subject to it. So what they're looking at is an apartment that has 15 or more doors. Okay, that's the easiest way I could explain it.
Now
Any
I have
more?
a question.
Go
Yes.
ahead. I got you, David.
Yes, so the cost is $10. You
Or
are
the cost.
huh?
It can be up to $10 or the
Up to $10,
actual
okay, that's fine.
expense, whichever's less.
All right, now, unless the tenant pays first, are we allowed not to do the job and wait
Correct.
until they okay,
Correct.
that's number one. And number two, electronically notifying tenants, that means you can just email everyone to save the
Bingo.
postcard. Yeah, okay. All right. And
Okay.
then annually, just
And
repeat the same.
I guarantee you our apartment associations, whomever they be, are going to have this form for us in the next week.
Are we allowed to mass email? That way everybody will know what we told the other person, or should be individually emailed?
I would individually email it so that everybody in that 15 unit apartment building or higher all has the same rules.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. For your 8 plexes and your 10 plexes, you don't need to do this. Got it? Okay. I'm moving on unless somebody yells at me by the time I count to 5. And I'm not being crabby. I'm trying to make sure I answer everybody's questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here we go. We're moving on to Senate Bill 1051. You guys, I need you to pay attention on this one, okay? No joke. This has to do with domestic violence. Pay attention, because I can see where this loophole is going to come out of nowhere and bite us, okay? Bite her. This has to do with changing the locks and domestic violence. Senate Bill 1051 repeals and completely replaces Civil Code 1941.5 and amends Civil Code 1941.6, which discusses the rights of victims of domestic violence. Landlords will now have to pay for changing of the locks at the request of the tenant. The request must be accompanied by certain documentation, period. Okay, I'm going to assume, and I'm stopping reading that. I'm going to assume that that documentation is going to be a police report or something of the like. Okay, it just says certain documentation. And I will dive down that rabbit hole and find out what it is the first time I need to. If the landlord fails to change the locks, the tenant has the right to replace the locks with a similar or better quality lock. The tenant will need to notify the landlord within 24 hours that the locks have been changed and provide a key to the landlord, period. You know those 5 words are going to be missed. And provide a key to the landlord. Okay, we know that part's going to be missed. So be ready for that. The landlord will have to reimburse the tenant within 21 days the expenses incurred to change the locks. This rule applies to any lease executed on or after January 1st, 2011. Want me to read that again? How in the heck? And this is just me talking to you guys, okay? Hold on, because I need to make sure you can see me. How in the heck do they write a law, okay, and say the law changes on this date, but it goes backwards to 2011? So what that means to us right now, okay, is that if a tenant produces an invoice saying that they had locks changed because they were a victim of domestic violence anytime during their tenancy, you and I are going to have to pay them that expense back. Got it? I don't like it. That's where I said, watch out. Some of these can bite. There's a good one in here, though, and it's enough to make you guys laugh. I promise, and you will laugh. Oh, you will laugh. I promise you that. I got a giggly one for you in here, okay? So we talked about changing the locks and they can put it back. This also adds to Civil Code 1946.9 affecting tenant screening. It codifies existing protections for applicants who have utilized their rights under domestic violence laws. Landlords cannot deny or conditionally accept an applicant who has changed the locks, breached the lease due to domestic violence, or summons law enforcement. Landlords may face civil liability if they violate this new law. You guys need to know landlords may face civil liability. That means they're going to charge you. And they usually start that at about 10 grand is the fine. Okay. Hang on, because I'm still reading. As a result of SB, landlords need to more closely scrutinize their screening policies in order to avoid denying applicants who do not qualify for tenancy as a result of being a victim of domestic violence or any other protected crime. So now there's a new thing out there saying victims of domestic violence can't be denied tenancy. So we got to be careful, you guys. We got to watch who we're denying. Okay. Let's go on to AB 2347. This is timing for unlawful detainers. This is going to extend the defendant's response time for an unlawful detainer from 5 days to 10 days. Know that this excludes Saturdays, Sundays, or judicial holidays. So what's going on, Patty? Wait. That means if your process server walks up, sees your tenant, serves them personally, they accept the lawsuit. They used to have 5 days to file an answer. Now they have 10, and that doesn't count weekends and holidays. Okay. I knew that one was coming. Okay. They're not going to leave the guy that is honest having the shortest amount of time. They're just not. So I knew that one was coming, but here comes the other caveat in it. Okay. And there is another caveat in it. So pay attention. This adds them a full week to respond to the unlawful detainer. AB 2347 also adds the ability of tenants to file a new type of responsive pleading called a motion to strike in order to contest any portion of the complaint. However, the benefits for landlords under AB 2347 is a reduction in time for responsive pleadings like a motion to strike or a demur, which must... this helps us, you guys. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me back up, and then I'm going to reread this in Widget language. Which may be heard in 5 to 7 court days. These motions would be set for 30 days out. Okay, so you guys know how your tenant, and hear me out, okay? I'm excited. We're winning one. Okay, so you know how your tenant I'm sorry, I'm just a nutcase. I know. I'm that person. I'm like, okay, so you know how your tenant would file a demur or a motion to quash or something like that, and the hearing would be set out like 45 days from now, 30 days from now, and we'd be sitting there going, oh my God, this is going to take us. And then we'd ask our attorney, can you advance the motion? And we'd have to pay them to advance it so it would be heard next week instead of next month. This law says no more. If they file a motion to quash, a demur, a motion to strike, any of those stalling tactics, trial is not set 45 days out any longer. It has to be set within 5 to 7 days. Winning, winning, winning. Okay, sorry, but you guys, I get happy when we win one, and that is us winning. So now we're not going to have to spend the money with our legal counsel to pay them to advance the motion. That's going to make our eviction overall costs less expensive. Okay, hope everybody understands that. That's why I'm so happy. That's the easiest way I could explain that to you. If you want me to read the law verbatim, I will, but I don't see a need for it. Okay, Tenant Protection Act, SB 479. This offers clarification in the Tenant Protection Act. So remember how I tell you guys, as a law continues to be challenged, they will evolve it and change it and close doors, open windows, etc. This is one of those. So this has to do with AB 1482, and it is defining the clarification of a natural person. And as I talk about this, I know this will all make sense to you guys. So pay attention, okay? Senate Bill 479 amends and clarifies the definition of a natural person for a no-fault just cause termination for owner occupancy move-ins. Wait a minute, Patty, I know what you're talking about now. What you're saying is that under AB 1482, if we want to do an owner move-in, this is a new law for an owner move-in, okay? Now, pay attention. A natural person defined as a beneficial owner with at least 25% ownership interest in the property. This change took effect on March 25th of 2024. So this is already in play. Here's what I have to tell you, okay? I can't believe that we have to make a law to define what a natural person is. And a natural person has to own only a quarter of the property. Okay. And we got that law because somebody sued somebody. Please remember that. Okay, next one. And this is one that I need you to pay attention to. Okay. This is AB 2898. And a lot of us are doing this, so we need to pay attention. This has to do with unbundling parking. In 2024, a law was passed requiring that in Alameda, Fresno, Los Angeles, Riverside, Sacramento, San Bernardino, San Joaquin, Santa Clara, Shasta, and Ventura counties, for any new construction with a certificate of occupancy on or after January 1st, 2025, landlords are required to unbundle parking charges from the lease agreement and include parking charges in a separate contract or addendum. AB 2898 amends this requirement to exclude Section 8 and Section 8 and VASH voucher holders from the obligation to unbundle parking. So what they're saying is if you're unbundling parking, don't do it for Section 8 and VASH. They're exempt from it. So you need to know that, okay? Affordable housing laws. This has to do with credit reporting. Does anybody here do affordable housing? And I'm not talking about Section 8. I'm talking about affordable housing tax credit properties. I don't believe any one of you has that. So if we don't, I'd like to skip that part and go on to things that are most important for us, okay? Like I'm going to get into, nobody's saying that they have anything regarding tax credit properties, correct? Because I'm going to skip all the new laws for that and go right to the new fair housing law and the new ADA laws, okay? Nobody's speaking up, so I'm moving on. If I'm wrong, you guys need to yell at me and unmute yourself to do it, please. Okay, fair housing laws, discriminations. I'm going to read this really quickly and then I'm going to translate it in English because fair housing is always written in legal terms. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, I'll give it a whack. Senate Bill 1137 provides a declaratory statement of existing fair housing and civil rights and clarifies that discrimination may not be based just on a singular protected characteristic, but potentially on a combination of protected classes. Therefore, when a person makes a claim for discrimination based on multiple protected classes, it cannot be reduced to distinct components, but it should be investigated to determine if the discrimination or harassment occurred on the basis of combination of the protected characteristics. The respective laws, government codes, civil code, education code will therefore add the phrases combination of characteristics and intersectionally to take into account the impact of discrimination based on more than one protected group, or the analytical framework that sets forth the different forms of the inequality that operate together or exasperate each other can amplified forms of prejudice and harm. This will update. Okay, so this cracks me up because it says this will update the Unruh Civil Rights Act, Fair Employment and Housing Act. And you know what's funny? They changed their name. They're no longer the Department of Fair Employment and Fair Housing. They are now the Department of Civil Rights. What does that say? It now says that protected classes can't be reduced and they will now tag you in multiple protected classes and gang those up against you. And they have a word for it. It is now called a combination of characteristics. So that's another way for them to tie more things together. Okay, moving right along. This is the one I told you is going to make you giggle. You ready? Fair housing, AB 1815. I don't know if I could tell you guys this one with a straight face. Because part of me wants to go, are you freaking kidding me? How old are we? Okay. And I used to use this as an example for decades. And now that it is the law, it cracks me up. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm apologizing in advance. Okay. Because I used to say all the time, you guys know that you can go down to the courthouse and file a lawsuit against me because you don't like the color of my hair. It doesn't mean that you're going to win. They're probably going to deem it as frivolous and throw it out. Okay. Because you can't sue somebody because you don't like the color of their hair. You can't. Okay? Hold on. Buckle up, folks. This one's gonna make you giggle. Ready? Ready. Okay, here we go. Assembly Bill 1815, discrimination on hairstyles. AB 1815 adds to the UNRRA Civil Rights Act of discriminatory statement that the protected class of race includes traits associated with certain, hold on, I lost my place, with certain race, including but not limited to hair texture and protective hairstyles such as braids, locks, and twists. AB 1518 also removes the word historically from the definition of race. This law expressly states that it is not a change in law, but a declaratory statement of existing law. Hairstyles are now a protected class in the state of California. Holy shit, what the hell is wrong with our country? I used hair as an example for decades because I thought that would be the most ludicrous reason that somebody could sue somebody. It's because they didn't like the color of their hair, or they didn't like the way they did their hair for the wedding. I had no idea that it would actually become a law. I used it as a teaching example, thinking it was a great analogy. And now I have to change that. Okay, moving right along. Sorry, I didn't mean to drag you guys down my own rabbit hole. Building requirements. Balcony extensions have been extended until January 1st, 2026. I'm going to tell you right now, have it done before the time change. Okay, you hear me? Any elevated walkways, balconies. So if you have a duplex, okay, example, and there's an upstairs unit and there's exterior stairs to get up there and an elevated porch, that needs to be inspected. Got it? Got it? Paying attention? Okay, you need to have these done before the time change. Why am I telling you that? Because the closer you get to the deadline, the higher the price is going to get. So get it done now. Don't wait. Okay. And I'm trying to help you with your finances. I'm trying to make sure this isn't going to be hazardous to your wealth. I'm trying to make sure you're prepared for it because it's coming at you. And as it gets closer, that price is going to double and triple. Supply and demand. It's just what happens. Okay. So be aware of it and get in there now. Get it done now. Okay. I got a good, and that was a good one. We got an extension. Here's another good one. Okay. Pay attention. This is a good one. Contractors. A lot of us use unlicensed contractors for stuff. Handymen, gardeners, things like that. They're not licensed. Okay. You know, if you're going to do a job that's $500 or more, state of California says you must use a licensed state B contractor. AB 2622 contractors requirement under the Business and Professions Code, there's a threshold for $500 for the labor and materials before a licensed contractor would be required for maintenance work, repairs, and improvements. This threshold has now been increased to $1,000. Yeehaw, folks, that makes our lives a little easier if we're using a handyman rather than a state contractor, because they're expensive. Okay, I'm going to keep going. We got another page of these, and they're just additional disclosures that are happening. So I'm going to try to blow through them, but you yell at me if you have questions. Assembly Bill 2533, expanding permits to junior ADUs. Existing law provides a pathway for certain unpermitted accessory dwelling units to become permitted through a process. This law would expand that process to unpermitted ADUs built prior to 2020. So there's some new laws going on with permitting and expanding the permits for junior ADUs. Okay, not going to get into all of that unless somebody goes, Patty, I need it. And then I'm just going to text you the law, because extreme heat, you guys need to pay attention to this, because this is going to bite us hard, but not this year. Okay. In other words, what is Patty telling you? Patty's telling you, be prepared. It's coming. Got it? AB 2684, extreme heat. Every few years, cities and counties address action plans for safety related to certain types of hazards or events like fires and floods. AB 2684 amends the government code related to safety, adding extreme heat hazards to review revision of the safety of housing element or local hazard plans. The next revision is scheduled for January 1st of 2028 and will require review and updating to address the hazards of extreme heat. Extreme heat means increasing temperatures resulting in a heat wave, heat health event, heat or watch warning, or a proclamation of a state of emergency. This may amend local legal requirements in the future, including mandating the installation of air conditioning or HVAC systems. What is Patty trying to warn you? That currently there's a law in place that makes the city, the county, and the state look at what plans are in effect for various issues that may come about in the city, the county, or the state. This plan is being revamped January 1st of 2028. That is when they'll most likely make it a requirement mandating the installation of air conditioning. So what is Patty trying to tell you? It looks like in 2028, in the next 3 years, they're going to require us to put air conditioning in residential dwellings. Okay. That's when there's going to be more talk about it, because that's when they can change the way that the government works and add it in there. Okay. So be aware.
Patty, would that be, does that require central, or can we do like window units and like the wall units?
Mandating the installation of air conditioning or HVAC systems. I don't think that they're going into detail on what has to be done at this point. At this point, they're preparing you that in the next 3 years, something's going to happen.
Got it. Thanks.
I don't think they have that much in the details. They're not that efficient. It's our government, sweetie. Sorry. I was a little jab at the government for all of us. Okay. Sorry. Substandard building updates. State and builder. Senate Bill 1465. State building standards establish what conditions render a building standard for residential use when it endangers the welfare of public or the occupants. The law expands on these laws to include danger to nearby residents as well. It also expands the governing rules to indicate under the Municipal Code 1465, expands the definition of residential units to units rendered by a tenant for human habitation, regardless of the zoning of the property. Okay, so I'm going to keep talking and then I know what this is about and I'm going to explain it to you when I'm done. Expanding it to potential commercial or industrial areas if there are persons using a location for residential use when it is not zoned as such, the owner will need to declare under penalty of perjury that the person is illegally occupying the building. The owner will also need to diligently pursue the eviction of the occupant or remove them as a trespasser. Okay, what is this new law about, Patty? What are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about. You come home from work one day and you find somebody living in your storage shed, okay? And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't rent them my storage shed. I don't collect rent from them. They just moved in there and started housing themselves. Well, now you, as a landlord, have to do an eviction, okay? But what this law does is it puts in place that you can sign a declaration under penalty of perjury, basically, that you didn't rent it to them. Okay, and then you have to pursue an eviction. The reason why they're making this a law is a lot of landlords go, oh, they're homeless. I don't want to have to evict them. That's not the thing to do. We need to help them. And then what happens is they say, you can go ahead and you can stay here until you find a better place to be. And then the tenant turns around and sues the landlord for not providing them a habitable dwelling because they said they could stay there. So what this law is geared to do is it's geared to help landlords and protect landlords from that type of a lawsuit as long as they put in writing, basically, I didn't rent to them. I'm not collecting rent money. They showed up and I'm pursuing eviction. I'm trying to get them out. So it's a way to protect owners, okay? AB 2854. Pay attention to this. You guys aren't going to like it if you have a property on a well. Okay? If you're on city water, don't listen to me right now. But if you have any property that is on a well, here's what I'm going to tell you. AB 2454, domestic well water for rental properties. Owners of domestic wells that service rental properties with drinking water. Okay? So any property that you have that has a well and not city water, okay? Any property. Owners with domestic service for rental that owners of domestic wells that service rental properties with drinking water must be tested for primary drinking standards. The test results and information on how to read the results must be provided to the residents of the rental property within 10 days of receiving the results. It would also prohibit rent increases or other charges to the residents as a result of the testing requirements. So what does this mean? It means if you have a well and not city water, county water, state water, whatever, and you're pulling it up out of a well, you have to have your well water tested for each tenancy. And you must give a copy of the testing and how to read the test to the tenant within 10 days of you completing that test. You have to do it for each tenancy. Okay? Not per year, not per month, each time you get a new tenant. Got it? Next one offers military protections, okay? And it's for service members. And let me read it really quick because it has to do with reservists. And this is the first time I'm seeing reservists have any kinds of protections. So hang on. Amends the military veterans codes military certain types of payments and obligations to not just the time served for active duty, but also a period of active duty. It will require the service member to submit within 90 days, no longer than 90 days of grace period for active duty. Okay, this has to do when an active duty service member is being put in a reserve position. They have a 90-day period where you have to give them a 90-day grace period to make it through that transition. And I'm going to make it real easy for you anyway. You can't evict an active duty service member for 6 months of them being in active duty. So you're not going to be able to evict them for that anyway. So let's not even worry about it. Why they're I know why they're putting that in place. They're putting that in place as a precedence of actually doing the actual eviction. So this new law is giving that active duty that's transitioning to a reserve 90 days of additional protections of them not being evicted. That's what that is. Okay, real estate broker agreements. So it looks like we have a couple more disclosures regarding water storage tanks. There's a new disclosure. Selling single family residence, what you must disclose in writing changes as of January 1st, 2026. There's new disclosures regarding professional statements. Main service panels, sub panels has to do with the electrical. So you have new single family disclosures in a sales transaction that begins 2026, not 2025. So I'm not too worried about going into detail. New laws regarding broker buyer agreements. Everybody knows it's been all over the news. It's not a fixed rate. It never has been a fixed rate. It is negotiable. So they're just going on to that it's not fixed by law, and it's not. It never has been. It's been the industry standard is what the difference is there. Okay, I have gone over the laws that affect our industry, the housing industry in general. You can see that I threw in some fair housing stuff. You see that I threw in some real estate broker stuff, some sales transaction stuff, just trying to grab a hold of everything that affects our industry. I had no idea that hair would become a protected class in the state of California. It blows my mind. For those of you that have followed me for a long time, I've tried to explain to landlords, you got to be careful what you say to people because somebody could sue you because they don't like the color of your hair. It doesn't mean they're going to win. That would be deemed as a frivolous lawsuit, I'm sure. But I had no idea it would actually become a protected class. I'm going to have to find something new to use as an analogy so that I don't offend anyone. I used to use my own hair because how can you be offended by yourself? You know, hey, I'm offended by myself every day, let me tell you. Only when I get on the scale. I'm being funny, you guys. All right, anybody have questions for me? I know that was a lot to absorb. Is anybody still on here? Did you guys all go away?
No, Patty, I have a question. So in
Okay.
regard to the very first law that you mentioned, I know we have to go first come, first serve, but if we pay for the credit checks, that doesn't apply to us, correct?
Honey, it creates a whole nother problem for you. I want you to stay away from.
Okay.
I don't want you to compare an applicant to an applicant because it exposes you to an amount of discriminatory issues that you don't want any part of.
Got it. Okay. I just figured if I paid for it, then, I can do. Like, I totally rather sacrifice, the $45 and get somebody that is qualified versus, just because you were here first. Because what if I were to get that crazy lady
Julia, let me say this, okay? When my landlords are asking me, Patty, how are we going to combat this? I'm going to tell them on a case-by-case basis. And here's what I could tell you, okay? You come from a professional background in this industry. You worked for corporate America. You know how to be plastic face. You know how to be careful. You know what to say. You are repped on fair housing. What you need to learn is where they're going to say you discriminated to make sure that you don't expose yourself to that. And then I'm going to tell you, because you're that savvy, you go ahead and do that. But for these other mom and pop landlords that don't have the professional background that you have, it's not an area where I want them playing around and testing the temperature of the water. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you, Patty.
So for someone like you with your experience and your expertise, I would tell you, yeah, go for it. But somebody that owns 2 doors that they inherited and they've been doing this for 6 months, I think you'd agree with me, they shouldn't touch that process. Agreed?
Completely agree. And even for myself, who's been professionally trained. So I technically could still be facing trouble if I went down that
You
route.
make yourself susceptible to
Susceptible. Okay,
it. It
got
waves like a red flag.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. It sends up fireworks and it's not July.
Yeah, got it. And did you say that you have to be very careful with anybody who's been a victim of domestic violence in terms of like when they're applying, you can't, that's what you said, right? You can't deny an application because of that. But how
Based
would you
on
even
them
know?
That's what I said is we're going to have to be really careful. We're going to have to be really careful because they're going to have to tell us I'm a victim of domestic violence, and we're going to have to grab a hold of that. Okay. If they don't tell us, how would we know? If they didn't disclose, then we didn't discriminate. You see how that worked?
Got it. Yes, thank you.
But how easy and casual is it if I tell you, oh, Julia, I'm a victim of domestic violence? And you go, oh, Patty, I'm so sorry to hear that. And we immediately change the subject because we just remembered there's 30 more people in this room right now, and they might not want to know my personal history. But I just disclosed to you that I'm a victim of domestic violence. And whether you captured that and fed off it is going to fall on your shoulders. Got it?
Got it. Thank you.
We cannot discriminate if they're a victim of domestic violence. Let me give you an example. Hi, I need to move and I need to move in. I had to move out of my last place in a hurry. You're automatically going to assume I've been evicted. I had to move out of my last place in a hurry. Playing along? You're going to assume I've been evicted. Got it?
Yeah.
Guys, stop assuming stuff. Oh, I'm sorry that you're moving in such a hurry. Is everything okay? Do you feel safe here? That's a good question. Do you feel safe here? Okay. We're going to not be able to know if they're running from the law, an old landlord, or an ex. I was going to say a bad word. A psycho ex. And men, listen to me very carefully. And women, you listen to me too. Okay? No bullshit. Men can be victims of domestic violence. Okay? No joke. Don't make that one-sided. Men can be victims of domestic violence too. Don't make the mistake. Okay? One of my best friends is 6'6". He's a big guy. That's why he's one of my best friends. Because I'm a little one, he's a big guy. Nobody mess with me. Man, his ex-wife hit him over the head with a cast iron skillet and bent the cast iron skillet. He still has the skillet. And his brain's a little wonky sometimes. We always tease him, oh, that's from that iron to the brain, you know. Iron to the dome will do that to you, man. Men can be victims of domestic violence too. Okay? Don't stereotype it as it only happening to women. Some women shoot back. Just saying. Just saying. All right, more questions. Oh, I see something in the chat too. Oh, somebody's saying they have to go. Okay. Anybody else have anything today? Nope, we're comfortable with the new laws? Okay, good. I'm going to make an announcement right now. I don't want you guys to panic, okay? I am not doing Wednesday with Widget next week. It's Christmas, and I don't want to sit here and talk to myself because I know nobody would join me because you guys would all be having Christmas, okay? Things that you can watch out for over the Christmas holiday is usually we end up with a fire at some point or another. It happens, unfortunately. Be prepared, be understanding. What if that was happening to you? And then our biggest problem from Christmas happens in January, and it's cleaning up those dead live Christmas trees. You know, they drop needles everywhere. The tenants are throwing them out the balcony. They don't want them anymore. And yeah, it's a mess. So get ready for dead Christmas tree season. because that's the next challenge that's coming our direction. If you guys have questions about the new laws, know that I'm available to help assist you. I'm here if you need me. And if you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, I'm going to... Sorry, of your
Patty,
time. Yeah.
I know we're not doing a meeting next week. If we have an emergency that happens on Christmas, or I don't want to bug you, are we still allowed to call you, or
You
don't
guys,
call you?
I don't have any plans from here until January the 3rd, believe it or not. I am home alone all by myself. So if you're bored and you want to talk to me, feel free to give me a call. I'd be more than happy to chit chat with you. But no, I'm home alone for the holidays. If you guys need something, call me. I'm not doing anything.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully I don't have any emergencies.
No, hey, maybe you do, and somebody out there will talk to me. I'm just being funny. But no, I don't have any plans. I'm free. Don't feel like you guys are bugging me. Call me with your problems so I can help you, okay? Anybody else? Awesome. Okay, we have new classes coming out with AGLA next year. We have some in-person stuff. And Julia, I am planning I have dates for our in-person with AGLA. We're doing one in Victorville, February the 12th. And then I need to plan the one in Ontario. I need you, but I have a date for it. So let's talk about that, okay? Text me later today.
Okay, I'll text you.
Okay, perfect. Because I got one for the Victorville. I got a venue for Victorville. I got that right here. I'm actually calling Diana when we're done. I lost the paper. What is my number? I'm being asked. 760-953-3337. 760-953-3337. I'm getting rid of the 800 number, you guys. They want to charge me $1,000 to keep it. And quite frankly, I know it was cute and all, but I don't think it's worth $1,000. I'm sorry. Just learned my number. I tried to make it easy and cute and fun and simple, but man, I can't see spending $1,000 just to have the number. Am I crazy? Or do you guys feel the same way? I don't need to be that quirky. I mean, I'm not a corporation with 30 employees. I'm one person, just one. All right, you guys have a wonderful Christmas holiday. And let me look at my calendar really quick. Will we be back on New Year's? I mean, let's really look at this. Oh, we won't be back on New Year's either. Let's do something, you guys, because I don't like leaving you unprotected 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to talk to my web guy and see if we can do something on Friday, January the 3rd. That way it's away from the holiday. It's going to be a mess for you guys, though, because if you're coming back from the holiday, that's the first of the month. It's the first day that rent's due. Okay, you guys tell me right now, do we need to get together before January the 8th? Because if so, I'll book something on January the 3rd. But it's a Friday, so it'll be kind of wonky. For you guys, not for me. Everybody's just saying Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Thank you. I love all you guys. All right, I'm gonna leave it up in the air. I'll throw in the January 3rd. I'll toss it around. Watch your email. I'll send you when our next course will be. And it's only because of the holidays. Otherwise, you know me. We're pretty solid all the way through. All right, everybody. I love you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. If you need me, call me. I'm available. Pick my brain, okay? You have my number. Don't try to figure it out on your own. I'm sitting here alone waiting for you, bored. Come on, you guys. All right, you guys have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Let's be prosperous for 2025. I will see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.